This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, January 23rd of 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's episode. In today's show, I will be joined by Jason Meyer of agmarket.net for our closing markets. But first, it is the latest edition of Between the Pods. In today's episode of Between the Pods, I am joined by Matt Herman of the Iowa Soybean Association as we preview the Farm Forward event from ISA, which will be taking place in the first week of February.
It's time to go between the pods with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and the Iowa Soybean Association. For the next year, we will explore the ways Iowa-grown soybeans are making a difference at home and around the world. Now, here's your host of Between the Pods, Mark Magnuson.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today for Between the Pods by Matt Herman. We are at the Iowa Soybean Association office, and Matt is the Chief Officer for Demand and Advocacy here at ISA. And Matt, here today, we're looking ahead to Farm Forward, which is just around the corner. It is coming up on February 3rd. First of all, where is the event being held this year, and what can we look forward to?
So yeah, thanks, Mark. This is our second year of doing Farm Forward. We're having it in Des Moines this year, but we are changing the venue. We're going to be having it at Hotel Fort Des Moines. Big, nice parking garage for all you guys who need to drive your truck downtown. We heard that loud and clear, so we're getting that changed for you this year. But we're really looking forward to the agenda and the schedule this year. We have Matt Roberts coming in to do a keynote. He's been on the ag circuit, former economics professor at OSU, has worked with Farm Credit, other groups. He's going to be able to give us a nice overview of trade, what to expect. I just talked with him today, and we were talking about, hey, Matt, what are you going to present on? He goes, I don't know. I think I'll tell you in about 4 or 5 days, after we get a new administration and we get some new executive orders, because just so many things are in flux right now.
And is that kind of the focus of Farm Forward, Matt, just kind of the big picture and where we're at when it comes to opportunities and challenges for growers?
Yeah, we really wanted at ISA to create kind of a demand-centered event, an event that farmers we could give them information on what to expect in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, so that they can plan effectively, both for putting this crop in the ground this year, but also what are their crop marketing plans going to be throughout the later part of the year. So to support Matt, we'll also have a conversation with a former U.S. Trade Ambassador, Al Johnson, who will be there. Jim Knuth from Farm Credit will be in. We'll have Al Kleiss from Kleiss Commodities. And Adam Gregg, now CEO of the Iowa Bankers Association, will be there. So that morning session will have a lot of content for farmers who want to know how some of these big geopolitical events could be affecting their business, but also how things just like the Federal Reserve and interest rates might be affecting their operations going forward.
Who is eligible to attend Farm Forward?
Anybody is eligible. Farmers, it's always free. We do have a charge for any industry members who want to come of $50 just to help cover some of our costs, but the doors are open. We welcome everybody to attend.
So what's the best way for someone that would be interested in coming to find out more?
So if you're a farmer, you've probably got an email from us. You might have seen a post on social, but you can actually just jump on our website. There's a nice link right on the top of the page now, and you can navigate, find yourself, and get registered for Farm Forward.
It's always cool when you have an event like this as well, because you get people from all 4 corners of the state under one roof, and you get to have these conversations face to face. I know you mentioned some of the things we might hear from Matt and others, but any conversations that you're excited to have, with your fellow coworkers and just farmers from around the state at this event?
Of course, I'm always looking forward to having all our farmers come in. I learn so much from them every time that I get to speak with them. Personally, for myself, I'm going to be holding a panel in the afternoon on 45Z, Climate Smart Ag. I know all that's very fresh right now. We're going to have kind of what I'm calling a series of micro interviews, so just short 20-minute conversations with a handful of people. So you'll hear from some board members of biofuel plants. You'll hear from people who are going to try to implement this climate smart ag. How is this actually going to work on the ground? Will it work? Let's put a question mark there. And then we're also going to have the CEO of the National Oilseed Processors will come to help us understand how the crush in the industry is really thinking about the potential opportunity here, I'd say.
And for farmers that are, thinking about what to expect at an event like Farm Forward, what mindset should they have coming in? Just a mindset to learn and just come in and, I guess, learn some new things?
Yeah, I think they should come with questions, right? Speaking with our keynote this morning, he said, my desired outcome would be I would sit down with these farmers, give them a pen and paper and say, give me all of your questions and then I'll build you, then I'll talk to you. We want this to be a really interactive event. That's why we do things like leave lunch open so that these farmers can interact with their fellow farmers, with some of the speakers, with staff. We want them to have a good time and to come away feeling prepared for this upcoming year. And then we finish it off with our legislative reception. So that'll be that night as well.
And remind us what the legislative session, that's after the Farm Forward event during the daytime.
Yes, we have our legislative reception. That's just an opportunity for Iowa soybean farmers to interact with their elected officials here in the state.
So, Matt, what are you looking forward to the most about Farm Forward this year?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to hearing what Matt Roberts has to say. I mean, he's got such a breadth of knowledge. I've had a couple farmers already reach out to me and say, oh man, I saw Matt at Commodity Classic, and that's the main reason I'm coming to this, because I want to hear what he has to say again.
And then a reminder on where the event is being held this year, Farm Forward from the ISA, and how people can learn more.
February 3rd, Hotel Fort Des Moines downtown. If you are one of our advocate members, hotel rooms are available for free. If you're not, they are available for purchase. And if you want to learn more, you can reach out to us, check our website. There's a link, and you can also register on there. If you have any trouble, feel free to give us a call, reach out to your local staff member, and we'll get you taken care of.
Farm Forward coming up February 3rd, 2025 from the Iowa Soybean Association. He is Matt Herman for Between the Pods. Matt, thanks so much for the time. Looking forward to the event.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you to Matt Herman of the Iowa Soybean Association for joining today's show. Coming up next, it is our closing markets. But first, let's hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. You're watching Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it is time now for Closing Markets with Jason Meyer of agmarket.net. Jason, we've seen a lot of price movement in the ag marketplace this week. Did that continue here today?
That continued today. We started the day, the overnight, a little bit lower, but then actually made new highs on the move as the day progressed here. There's three reasons. Number one, Trump hasn't officially announced any tariffs, so I think that's been good for the marketplace. Number two, it's dry in Argentina. Those southern areas of Argentina that really needed the rain. The midday forecast kind of took the rain out of there. And then China is actually putting a halt on some Brazilian soybean imports. They're saying there's some sanitary concerns there, but we really feel like maybe China is just full at their ports and just trying to slow the pace of soybeans coming into the country, especially since their Chinese crush margins are so negative at this point in time.
And then, Jason, obviously this week with the new administration taking its seat in Washington, D.C., we've been following the ag marketplace very closely like we always do. But what have the overall markets, the macro markets, and then the value of the U.S. dollar, how has that responded this week?
Yeah, the dollar is holding in there pretty good. So we peaked a little bit before Trump took office, and it kind of backed off a little bit, but still maintaining its strength here. One thing that could be positive for U.S. grain, the Brazilian real, it seems like it's bounced off its low. And the stock market obviously continues at its pace upward.
And then, Jason, we don't always talk a lot about wheat, but here recently we've had these extremely cold temperatures, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of snow cover throughout those wheat growing regions of the United States. Have there been concerns at all about the winter wheat crop?
There's been a little concern. Earlier this week, we saw wheat significantly higher, but for the most part, the market does not seem to be too overly concerned about wheat in the cold conditions we have seen.
And we know, at least here in central Iowa, that forecast is going to change here for the better pretty quickly. So at least it wasn't that extended period of those extremely cold temperatures. Let's go over to the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex. How are cattle and hogs? How did they trade today?
Yeah, the cattle market continues on fire. We keep on setting all-time new record highs in the futures markets. And there's a lot of talk that we could see futures on both fats and feeders continue to go higher. We got cash trade is still higher than the futures, so that could be a good reason we continue to see the cattle market go higher. And then hogs are just kind of stuck in the mud here, just really not going anywhere. We saw 4 down days in a row, and we kind of bounced back yesterday, and today was pretty quiet. Hog slaughter is a little bit behind pace of last week, so we'll see if hogs can find a bottom here and keep up with the cattle market.
Jason Meyer of agmarket.net, my guest here today for our closing markets. Jason, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Check us out at agmarket.net and give myself or one of my teammates a call, and I'll be happy to speak with you.
Jason, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Mark. Everybody stay warm out there.
Thank you to Jason Meyer of agmarket.net for joining today's show for our closing markets. Let's take a look at how the numbers finished up here today in the ag marketplace. You can find those numbers anytime under the market tab at iowaagnet.com.
March corn closes up 5.5 at 489 3/4. March soybeans up 9.5 at 1065.5. March soybean meal down 50 cents at 315.30. March soybean oil up 62 cents at 45.04. Chicago wheat unchanged at 5.54 even. Minneapolis wheat down 2 cents at 6.04 1/2. Kansas City hard red wheat down 4 cents at 5.70 3/4. March oats up 3/4 cent at 3.67 1/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up $1.05 at 201.10. March feeder cattle up $1 even at 274.07. February lean hogs up 65 cents at 82.12. February pork cutout unchanged at 91.32. Class 3 milk up 22 cents at 19.19.
That wraps up our closing markets for Thursday and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can follow us on social media at Facebook, X, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can listen to our morning, midday, and closing market podcast wherever you find your favorite podcast at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. And you can also find our daily episodes of our Iowa Ag Matters podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.